We're here at Washington's Newseum for the centennial anniversary of the Columbia School of Journalism with Tom Brokaw, who needs no introduction. And you've been going around the country talking to people, and I heard you say the other day that a lot of the folks you talk to feel disconnected from the presidential campaign and politics in general. How so?
Well, I think that they feel it's a closed game, that it doesn't address what their real concerns are. It has its own language, it has its own culture. Obviously, the people who participate in the Republican debates, a lot of them represent a particular part of the Republican Party, but maybe not the whole Republican Party. So I feel that a lot of folks are suggesting to me that they just think that they're excluded from it, and the press doesn't help.
And I was about to ask, you anticipated my question, how much do we in the media contribute to that feeling that this is a game, a beltway ritual, by focusing on the flap of the day, whether it's some Democratic consultant saying Ann Romney didn't ever work a day in her life, whether it's Mitch Romney, Etch-a-Sketch candidate, all of the things that consume us, particularly on cable news, how much does that add to that sense?
A lot. It's the gotcha of the day. And I've often said, not just because during this election cycle, but the best political reporting you can do is from the outside looking in, not from the inside looking out. And what I've tried to do during this election year is to get way beyond the bus and way beyond whatever the next rally is, and hear what folks have to say, what concerns them, what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and try to essentially get at how they're coming to the decisions that they are about the candidates and about the issues that really concern them.
Does the polarization that we see, particularly in cable news, strong opinions, often ideological opinions on Fox News, MSNBC, does that add to the sense? Because I wonder whether people in America are as divided as it would seem from watching the pundits go at it.
I don't think that they are as divided. I think the great movable feast in American politics are the independents, that group in the middle. It's now probably the largest political party in the country because all the polling indicates that both the Democrats and the Republicans, in terms of active participation, have gone to the extremes. More left among the Democrats, more right among the Republicans. That means there's a mass in the middle that is more inclined to look at an issue and say, maybe I can find a compromise on that. There may be another way of looking at it.
But is it more profitable for cable television to cater to the people on either side who like to have their opinions reinforced and not worry about the mass in the middle?
Well, that's always been the case. Well before cable television, there were the tabloids, and they had a distinct point of view, and it was the gotcha moment in those days in print as well. I remind people, before Rush Limbaugh, there was Walter Winchell, for example, or Dorothy Kilgallen.
But it's more pervasive today because of technology.
It's much more pervasive today. At the same time today, however, if you're a little more proactive as a voter or as a viewer, you've got access to C-SPAN, and you can make a judgment for yourself about who's saying what in a speech or at a think tank that's on television. You can go to the Jim Lehrer show, for example. Morning Joe is having real success, I think, in part because they give a variety of voices time to express themselves. And, it's a formula that I've been a little surprised has not been more duplicated. Fox has now got the gang at 5 o'clock. They're getting more voices involved.
So people have choices.
People have choices, and they have to work harder. And what I tell audiences is that there was a time in your life when you could be a couch potato. You could get up in the morning, pick up the Washington Post, watch a little bit of the Today Show.
And that's all you need.
See Chet and David or Walter in the evening, and you'd be pretty happy with what you got. Now it comes at you 24/7. And what you have to do is be a consumer of news and apply the same principles to where you get your news as you would to buying a flat screen television.
Well, I'm glad so much information is out there and available. You're a former White House correspondent. You had some comments the other day about perhaps the celebrity-filled spectacle that the White House Correspondents' Dinner has become. And it's become quite an industry. People bring the most famous folks they can find from Hollywood. This year it was Kim Kardashian, it was Lindsay Lohan. You said maybe it's time to rethink that. What about it? Are you offended by it?
My wife thought I would be much stronger. She said, I thought you were going to unload on him, and I probably ought to, but I didn't want to sound like a cranky old uncle at the Thanksgiving table. But I do feel strongly that it's gone way too far.
You did say you wanted to meet Charlize Theron.
Well, of course. Who wouldn't if you're a male? But at the same time, I do feel strongly the Washington Press Corps and all of its parts has to think about what do we symbolize to the American people. That evening, which is the biggest evening in Washington, in the Washington Press Corps life, says it's let them eat cake. We're pouring Cristal champagne. We're more interested in the celebrities than we are in the concerns of real folks who are out there. And I think it's just the worst kind of symbolism.
Would you like to see news organizations just say, enough with the celebrities?
Yeah.
We'll invite newsmakers as guests?
When I was White House correspondent, we had, it was a big evening. It was a glittering affair. It was a lot of fun. But I also met people who came down from the Hill or came from the agencies, and I had an evening to get to know them personally. And it was beneficial to them and to us as well. And at the end of the night, we would kind of go our separate ways. Now it's gone beyond that. It's look at me, look at me, look at me. And it seems to be an exercise simply in hedonism. We're more important than anything else. In a way, you're saying to the people you're supposed to serve, who are out there, we really don't care about you. We're mostly caring about whether we're going to get on television and whether we've got the more glittering guest here. And I think that's inappropriate.
Well, you're a celebrity. I hope you'll be my guest next year if you don't, sitting at the NBC table.
I don't go anymore.
All right, you stay in New York.
It's
You've
a long
sworn
evening.
off.
That one of my great heroes from growing up, where I did Crazy Horse, believed that if they took his picture, it would steal his soul. I feel the same way about the White House correspondents. It'll steal your soul.
Tom Brokaw, thanks very much for sitting down with us here at the Newseum.
Okay.